Hey everyone! Today we're jumping into a 50-year-long argument that truly defined modern America. It was this massive battle, really, over a single powerful question that ended up shaping the country we all live in today.
So let's set the stage. It's right after World War II. America's feeling this incredible, hard-won unity. What do you think was the single biggest argument that was about to unfold? The one that would define the nation for the next half-century? You know, it wasn't about a specific war or a single policy. Nope, it was something much, much deeper than that.
There it is. It all came down to this one simple yet incredibly complicated question. How much should the federal government be involved in the economy, in our society, in our day-to-day lives? This question became the absolute central engine of American politics for decades.
And look, this wasn't just some abstract debate for philosophers. Oh no, this was a real fight. And it played out in three huge arenas: the nation's economy, the brand new field of environmental protection, and that constant tension of national security. Let's kick things off with the economy, because this was a major battleground. The whole debate over how much the government should intervene, well, it swung back and forth like a giant pendulum, driven by this fierce, partisan tug-of-war. And here's a really key factor: public opinion. This wasn't just a debate happening in Washington, D.C. Not at all. When everyday people felt the sting of poverty or worried about unemployment, their voices could literally shift the entire political landscape, forcing politicians to demand either more or less government action. And this shows you the two extremes of that pendulum perfectly. On one side, in the 1960s, you've got President Johnson's Great Society. This massively expanded the government's role in taking care of people, creating huge programs like Medicare and Medicaid. But then, just a couple of decades later, that pendulum swings hard the other way with Reaganomics, which was designed to do the exact opposite, to shrink the government's role with tax cuts and deregulation. But the economy wasn't the only place this fight was happening. Starting around the mid-20th century, a powerful new force entered the debate: the environment. All of a sudden, science started raising these huge red flags. Think about it. For the first time, people were becoming aware of the hidden dangers of pesticides in their food. They could see the smog in their cities. They were wondering where to put all the trash. And they were even hearing the very first whispers about something called climate change. And this created a clear domino effect. Public concern just grew and grew until it became this powerful movement. Environmentalists started demanding that the federal government had to step in and do something. And the result? A huge expansion of government power, the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, back in 1970. Okay, so the third major battleground was this really difficult balancing act. It was all about protecting the nation on one hand, while trying to preserve the individual liberties of American citizens on the other. A classic dilemma. And this quote right here, it gets to the absolute heart of the anxiety of the era. This intense fear of communism during the Cold War, it fueled some of the absolute fiercest debates about how far the government should be allowed to go in the name of national security. So you had these incredible tensions playing out everywhere. Take the anti-war protests. Was that protected free speech, or was it a threat to national unity? And what about the civil rights movement? A fight for individual rights, or a disruption of the social order? And that fear of communism, well, that created a direct clash between national security and personal privacy. These were not academic debates. They were playing out on the streets and in the courts, testing the very definition of what it meant to be free in America. So when you look at the economy, the environment, and national security all together, it becomes pretty clear that this isn't an argument with a finish line. It's more like an ongoing core feature of American democracy. And you can really see those big pendulum swings right here. In the 60s, a huge expansion with social programs. In the 70s, a brand new federal responsibility with the EPA. And then boom, in the 80s, a major push for contraction with Reaganomics. Just back and forth and back again. So here's the main takeaway. The fight over the role of government isn't a bug in the American system. It's a feature. It's not some problem that we can solve once and for all. It's a fundamental tension that we have to manage. A tension that really reveals who we are as a country, and one that every generation have to grapple with all over again. And that, of course, brings us right up to today. This debate never ended. From arguments over healthcare and climate policy to fights about regulating big tech and how to handle national security, this exact same tension is everywhere. So the question is, where do you see this great debate playing out right now?